Hey guys, how you doing? It's Gavin here from Starfresh Personal Training. Trying to get my camera angle right. But anyway, this little video is about cheat days. Okay, cheat days. And it's really common that when people go on diets that they use they justify a kind of a binge day as a cheat day. Now, end of the day, binging and eating lots and lots of food because you've been restricting yourself for a week is never going to be healthy. Okay, it encourages bad behavior and encourages the all or nothing mentality. So basically, this is my take on cheat days. Bearing in mind, I've been through this. I've lost a lot of weight. I've kept weight off. I've done the cheat day thing. I've done the restriction thing. This is me my little take on how to do a cheat day, or even if you need one in the first place. So first of all, we're going to talk about why do we need a cheat day? Okay, so why do we need a cheat day? Well, there's probably a few more other reasons I'm going to write down, but number one, essentially going to be because you've been restrictive all week. And number two, you reward yourself with food. Okay. Now, first of all, that is a potent mix for massive failure. Okay, if you restrict yourself, like really restrict yourself to the point where it's quite painful, where you look forward to a reward with food, you're basically training yourself to to see food as a reward for being good, for restriction, and this kind of restrict and reward is really bad for your mental health. Okay, and it's really bad for your your whole sort of attitude and approach to dieting, because you will see bad foods as rewards when that isn't really the case. If you're really going to reward yourself with anything, you should change your mindset and reward with exercise and reward with good food. Okay, you shouldn't reward yourself with bad food. It's a really it's a bad way to look at it. Okay, so that's why people tend to want to have cheat days. Okay, now if you think about this in terms of calories in, calories out. Okay, you've essentially got obviously 7 days in a week. So these are the days of the week, okay, Monday to Sunday. So it's quite common for people to want to do the old cheat days or binge days on a Sunday, okay. Now, end of the day, think of it this way: you probably or most people will eat 5 times per day, or maybe 6 times, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, right? So when you go in and have cheat days, okay, you could be doing pretty well throughout the whole week, and then on a Saturday, Sunday, you're gonna go change the color, okay, and you're basically gonna go, bad. Now, if you do this binge mentality after a week of restriction, you could potentially eat thousands of extra calories on the weekend, okay? Or it could be a Saturday, it could be beers, it could be curries, it could be whatever it is. You could eat thousands of extra calories over that the weekend, which if you have been good all week and really restrictive, the total amount of calories based on here can simply, override everything you've done on this side. And what happens is, if you think of energy balance over the course of a week, okay, you could be low all week, really massive high on the weekend, and basically the average calories you consume over the course of a week exactly the same as if you were to slot a cheeky meal in between. So with regards to the reward thing, what I recommend, something that I've done lots and lots of, is I don't restrict to having a really bad day. Okay, so the way I do it is a lot easier. It's a lot more manageable, and it's a bit more balanced than this. This is really unbalanced. This is really unhealthy. So the way I do this, okay, is that I'll obviously use my fitness pal and I'll exercise, okay. Typically I will have 2 days off per week from exercise. So let's just say, for argument's sake, I don't exercise on the Saturday and Sunday, okay. So I probably won't really have any kind of really bad meals on my days off because I'm not exercising. I could essentially be 500 calories less on the weekend because I haven't exercised. So like typically I'll burn off, according to my Fitbit, maybe 3,000 calories off on a typical day. Therefore, if I don't work out, obviously it'll be down to 2,500. So therefore, I'm not looking to have anything really, really bad on the weekend. Now, you could have a training day on the weekend to offset that, but bear with me for 1 second. So you can see there's a lot of meals in a week. So over the course of a week, you're looking to eat roughly 42 meals. Okay, and that's just 7 sixes, 42. 7 days of the week, 6 meals, 42 meals. Okay. Now, let's just say you don't hit every single meal perfectly well, okay? Now, 42 out of 42 is 100%, obviously. So, what in the day, if you were to do a test or an exam, 60 to 70% is really, really good. So, obviously, we want to try and look to have 80% of those meals to be really, really good. So in essence, we're looking at about 33 meals out of the whole week to be good for. So instead of having a cheat day, you can essentially have 10, I would say 10 bad meals per week. And I'm not talking about really, massive binges. I'm talking about the foods that you like, all right? So how you do that is entirely up to you. So let's just say I'm going to pick 10 of those 10 of those meals are not going to be great, okay? So let's just say, Saturday and Sunday evening, you just go for dinner, okay? 1, 2. That's your 2. They're not cheat meals, they're just bad meals, okay? Of whatever you want. So that's 2 meals right there. And let's just say Friday, Saturday, Sunday, you have bad meals. That's 3 right there. That's pretty much probably going to satisfy your, little itch anyway. So it could also mean now on, a lunch there could be pretty bad. Lunch day could be bad. Working up to 5 already. And let's just say you go for breakfast on Saturday and a Wednesday as well with work, okay? Now, that's quite a lot of meals. That's quite a lot of bad meals, if you like, throughout the week. So you don't have to have a binge day. You just need to get 80% of your week done. So this here on say Monday, that could be a sushi if you wanted it to be. You could just go out for sushi if you want. Or you could go out for fish and chips on a Thursday lunchtime if you wanted to. It wouldn't really matter. End of the day, if you're looking to get an 80% sort of compliance rate of good to bad meals, you really want to be just mapping it out like this. Try and plan your week and find out where is it likely to be a not so good meal. And if you do this and you get an 80% rate, you're going to do really, really well. It then prevents you from trying to go hard out on a weekend and on a cheat day because you've been basically restricting yourself. If you dot them throughout the week, you're not going to feel like you're on a diet. You're not going to feel like you're restricting yourself too much because you've snuck in the meals that you want. Now, providing you track with MyFitnessPal, these meals are going to basically get absorbed into they're going to get absorbed into your overall weekly calories, and you're going to find yourself less restricted, and you're going to find yourself a lot easier to go through this diet. It means that you can have a biscuit here if you wanted to, or a Mars bar there, or a muffin there if you wanted to. You basically got 10 meals to play with over the course of 42 to get right, to get wrong. Now, if you do more and you get a higher compliance rate, you're doing really, really well. And you can work on bringing it down easier. But don't think you have to restrict yourself to the point where you have a weekend where you basically binge, right? I've been in, done it, it isn't pleasant. So, like I said, when we're looking at MyFitnessPal, okay, so you got, the week there. So you got Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. These could be high calorie days. You could have high calorie days there. But if you've got Um, you could have a higher day there, a higher day there, a higher day there. But as long as your average is around about your base calories, which you obviously need to work out and stick to a MyFitnessPal, you could have 3,000 calories one day, you could have 1,000 calories the next day, to bring it down to an average of 2,000 calories. It doesn't matter how you do it, but if you look over the course of a week, as long as your calories don't on average, don't exceed your sort of base target mark, you're going to be absolutely fine. And that will include the odd bad meal, probably up to 10 a week. Okay, and you can do really well. Now, the second part of this as well is exercising. If you are going to have these kind of baddish meals or the higher calorie days, you need to exercise on those days, because you're simply going to be burning off a few more calories, therefore you can justify a bit more. If you have a really inactive day, then you shouldn't probably be having those extra meals, just because there's a lot of calories in the meals that you eat. You're not burning many calories off, and therefore it's really hard to get that adjustment. So, realistically, all you need to do is have a really sensible approach to it, to the point where there's no huge restriction. No huge restriction, and you've got some balance. Okay, so if you're in any exam, if you're hitting 80% out of 100, that's pretty good. You're doing really, really well. Okay, you just need to work it out, and you need to think of this a little bit differently to the way you have been. And there's no reason to restrict anything to the point where you crave it. You can absolutely sneak this stuff in as part of a healthy, normal diet. It's absolutely fine, but you've got to plan a little bit. So those are my kind of rules around cheat days. I don't think they're necessary. I don't think you need to restrict yourself. I honestly don't believe you need to restrict all week then reward with food. This is really, really bad. This is gonna send you into a spiral, basically, of a horrible eating pattern, which you do not want to get into. End of the day, if you do this smartly, if you think about it over the course of a week, and you can do this on your calendar, you can basically set this out a lot neater than I have, and find the trigger days where you think they're potentially going to be the bad meals that you're going to have. Try and work your training around those days. Try and aim for an 80% compliance, and isn't that much really. And average your calories over the course of the week, because that is what it's ultimately down to. You need to average your calories over the course of a week, and consistently do that over time to have results. It is simple as that. And then obviously you can tweak it and you can change it and you can make it better. But that is basically what you need to do, right? As I said, exercise on the days you kind of have cheat days, but don't restrict yourself. That causes cravings. Cravings cause binges, and then binges last for days. I know, because I've been there. And if you have one really restrictive week with a point where you're really, really hungry, you're going to last for days. And I'll tell you a tiny little story before I go. When a couple of years ago, I did a very, very restrictive diet. It was very, very basic. There was no milk. There was no other I restricted a huge amount. And I remember sitting in the office one day and somebody brought in a bag of feijoas. And at the time I wasn't eating fruit because it's too much sugar in there apparently. And I ended up I was so hungry by the point of it. I wanted to achieve really, really good results. I did, but didn't last very long. And what happened was somebody left this bag of fruit there, and I basically got through maybe 20 feijoas. I don't even know if that's how you spell it, but I went through 20 feijoas in an afternoon. They were the sweetest thing that I had in about 12 weeks. And I just body craved it, and I even cut my diet short after that, because I was just this little binge I had on fruit lasted days. I just literally couldn't bear the thought of going back to that old diet, and it was horrible. Yes, I got a six-pack. Yes, it was okay, but it was very, very horrible, very, very unpleasant. And what I've learned since then, which has allowed me to keep my weight off for the last 7 years, is to do everything with balance, on about an 80% compliance, because that is all you need to lose that weight, and consistently keep it off. You do not need cheat days. You do not need to reward and restrict. You can absolutely do it with a much better approach, and this is how you do it. So that's it from me for this video. I hope you found it insightful. I hope it kind of let you off the hook to realize you don't have to restrict yourself and then reward yourself with food. There really is a simpler way, and this works really, really well for me. So give it a go, map it all out, and all this comes down to is planning and preparation. If you plan out for the week, you're going to be absolutely fine. But just sit down, think about it, think about what it is that you want to achieve, think about how many meals you can afford to be cheat worthy, if you're going to call it that, and basically, do it that way, see how you go. As always, guys, you need to start afresh. Because if you don't make a change today, how will tomorrow be any different? Have a good day, guys. Cheers.